Hi there, I'm Michael Hill with Canine Chronicle TV, and I am here with Bill Ellis, and we are going to find out about what is going on in his life and how his involvement in junior showmanship at a younger age has shaped him and given him life lessons to get to where he is today. How are you?
I'm great, Michael. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm enjoying my time in Chicago right now.
Good. It looks beautiful.
It's pretty nice. And you're in New York, correct?
I am. I'm here in New York City. I'm sitting at 101 Park Avenue, which is the AKC office and headquarters.
Wow. And tell me how that transition changing offices has been for the AKC.
Oh, the office transition has been great. We moved offices into the current space about 2 years ago, and it's a really beautiful space. And I think returning back to the office full time has been a welcome change for us. And it's nice to have the face-to-face interaction and see everybody and have that.
Feel like a human again.
Yeah, exactly. Have that be part of your everyday routine.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us an overview of what your current kind of life looks like? What are you involved in a kind of professional capacity, and how does that relate to dogs?
So here at the AKC, I'm our director of broadcast. So I oversee all of our video content and all of our broadcasting and TV production. So that includes AKC TV, which is our OTT network. That's where a lot of the audience that we're probably talking to sees our live stream dog shows, as well as our weekly shows and our breed documentaries. And then I oversee and manage all of the broadcasts and productions that we do off platform. So the shows like our sports on ESPN, we have a multi-year agreement with ESPN that includes several different sports programs on their networks, as well as the national championship on ABC. So that's what takes up my time here. A lot of video and talk, and a lot of talking about broadcast.
That's incredible. And had you had a background in media and film before working with the AKC?
Not in film specifically. I have a long history with dogs. And when I started here at the AKC, I started in the communications department, which was, pretty media heavy. Our PR department is amazing, and they have an incredible relationship with the media. And so I learned a lot there. And that start for me preceded AKC TV and preceded any of the current TV production that we're working on, with the exception of the national championship. So once AKC TV was born, and it's grown since then, my involvement started there.
That's awesome. And I know it's been also like more national specialties and other shows like that have been working with you guys as well, right?
Yeah, we cover a few national specialties every year, which is fun. There's a few that we've gone back to. We try to get new ones in every year, but it's a nice way to have kind of that multi-day event on AKC TV that's specific to one breed.
And I think this past year was a really great recognition point for how useful film and video and technology can be for people who are restricted by location or pandemics.
Yeah.
How has that shaped kind of the direction for where you see your program going from here?
Well, it certainly jump-started kind of everyone needing to utilize new technology. So like for us here at the American Kennel Club, we were on Zoom just like everyone else in our daily work lives. But we also learned really quickly how to still produce those live streamed events, but do them remotely. And that benefits us in a few ways. So one, we were able to do it during the pandemic. And just being able to pull it off was a real win for us, so that we could still have some dog shows on TV. Two, it saves resources for us, which will allow us to do more each year, right? Because it saves on things like travel and the technology that's needed on the ground, and forced us to kind of figure out some things that I knew long-term we needed to figure out. And I thought we maybe would have a little more time to, and then boom, all of a sudden, you've got these problems, and you do solve them, and you realize, well, wow, this is actually something that's a benefit to us. It will improve the viewer's experience, and so we can continue doing it moving forward.
Well, I think what I'm getting from all of that is you have a lot of different skill sets that you're combining to make these projects happen. So I think that would be a great way to lead into how you formed those capabilities, and particularly related to dogs. So why don't you tell us kind of first how your start in dogs originated, and your involvement in junior showmanship?
So my family is an equestrian family. It's what both my parents did for a living, still do for a living. My dad shows hunters and jumpers, trains horses, and judges extensively. My mom also showed hunters very successfully, but her business was with thoroughbred racehorses. And so going to dog shows, being involved with animals was always very natural. And we always went to our local dog shows, twice a year when they were in town. And there was just a point at which we kind of moved from rescuing the dogs off the side of the road to pursuing having a purebred dog so that we could then participate in the local dog shows. And I was pretty hooked straight away. A little bit of a different experience for, I think, my family, because coming from horses, in that equestrian world, horses are bought and sold and leased regularly, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of like getting a puppy and keeping your fingers crossed that it would turn out was something completely foreign to my mother. She was never going to sign on to that. So
Yeah.
we did have a puppy, originally, but we also we had some dogs that were already champions that some different professional handlers specialed in. So I had an adult dog that I actually started with, which was helpful and helped me get started in junior showmanship.
What breed was that?
The original breed was a PBGB, a Petit Basset Griffon Vendéen. This was my first junior's dog. And then after showing him for a couple years, and that was a great learning experience, I just wanted, honestly, I wanted something a little bit bigger. I was pretty tall. And a gentleman in Florida that we had purchased some Labradors from had one English setter, and he was kind enough to loan me the English setter to show in juniors, and then I showed English setters for the remainder of my time in junior showmanship.
Awesome. And so who besides those people were mentors or had influence on you in that time as a junior?
I worked for several different professional handlers who, I would really consider my mentors. So at the end of my junior's career, I was working for Larry Cornelius, and he was probably, in my time showing in junior showmanship, he was probably, my greatest mentor. And then right after I aged out of junior showmanship, I worked for Greg and Jane Myers and Laura King, and they're all amazingly talented and
All
incredibly,
the good ones.
just fantastic people to call my friends, but get to learn from and call my mentors.
Speaking of learning, what would be some main points that come to mind, not necessarily even dog related, but just kind of personally that you had to focus on in that process of competing and traveling and working with those handlers?
Well, I think anyone who's competing in junior showmanship, you are interacting with adults in a way that's probably different than other sports as an adolescent. And so there is a level of maturity that comes along with that, and you learn how to interact with different kinds of people and different personalities in different settings, and that translates into many different things, but particularly in your professional life, it's a huge advantage. It's a great
Sure.
advantage being able to work with different kinds of people, and not only work with them but get along with them. um, it's a real valuable skill set that comes from junior showmanship. And I would say the other is project management. um, there's a lot of project management that goes along with my job, as it does with lots of jobs. And that's something that, competing in any dog show capacity, project management just comes along with it, whether you show up with one dog and you've just got to keep track of that one ring time, or you're concerned about 20 dogs and getting them all to the ring. There's project management skills.
I think that's a great point, because a lot of people, especially I think younger people, focus on those 2 minutes in the ring, but there's the whole endeavor of connecting with somebody, traveling, feeding, caring for the dog, caring for yourself, putting yourself together, and communication, I think, as well, is probably a huge thing too with navigating that with your parents and your boss and your fellow competitors. And I think there's not that many recreational endeavors that, especially for a young person, like put you in the same playing field, essentially, like at the same arena as like it's like playing soccer and having a World Cup player hanging out at the field next door.
Yeah, we're all,
the
even if it's just junior showmanship and you're just competing against your peers, you're still in a setting with adults, with professionals, with amateurs. And I think most young people who compete in junior showmanship also show their dogs in the breed ring, and you're competing against all of those people.
Absolutely. So now looking back on this whole progression and where you are in life, what would be some advice you would have for somebody who's either in juniors or considering getting involved in juniors or just newer to the sport, about how to make it something that carries over kind of long-term value?
Well, I think that you're always working on honing your skills when you're in junior showmanship. And that's something that carries through life and your professional life always, right? So let's take my time showing those English setters. I was always working on the training aspect, and you want them to be great show dogs, but learning how to groom them and trim them and how to do it better each time, and how to show them better each time, and watching the people who were really, really great and showing or staying at the dog show late to watch those people. That translates over into your professional life, because today I'm always trying to figure out how do we make the TV show that we did in March for the National Agility Championship. We turned around and did another agility show 2 months later, both on ESPN. They're both agility shows. How do we take what we did 8 weeks earlier and make it better? It was incredibly successful in March. We had very successful ratings. We had great reviews from the audience, but we've got to turn around and what are we going to do differently? And how are we going to improve upon that product so that when people watch it, they go, wow, that was just as good. And you did these other things that were better. Those are skills, that are completely applicable to junior showmanship and that you would carry with you.
Not just being complacent and kind of getting through it, but also always kind of having that mindset of improvement and learning.
Yeah, the learning, improving, being able to look back at what you did and be thoughtful and critical, right? So reviewing things in detail. So whether it's a TV show that we produced or just the email that went out to promote it, being able to look at those assets critically, right? So that one, they're the best they can be at the time, and two, what are the things that we need to do differently, right? Whether it could be something as simple as the aesthetic and how did it look, or I might look back at a show and be like, okay, that was really great. Did we reach anybody new? Did we encourage anyone watching to join our sport? Are they going to be inclined to maybe try agility with their dog or come to a confirmation dog show? And those are important points. So you're just always looking at all those finer details.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I want to wrap up with is it's really cool to see how your initial involvement with dogs and competing in junior showmanship has also set you up for a career that's still very intertwined with the sport of dogs, but isn't the typical professional handler at the dog show showing dogs every weekend. And I think that's something that also speaks to creativity and having a vision for just in the same way of honing your craft, but also finding ways to make your life still connected to your passion, but also successful and sustainable in other ways, that let you live in New York and not have to be on the road every weekend kind of a thing, but also have that kind of travel when you enjoy it too.
Yeah, and it took me it took me some time to figure that out. I think when you're really passionate about showing dogs and you see your life as a professional handler, and for me, I was working for people who were very successful, so we were campaigning, various top dogs and winning a lot. You naturally see yourself in that role, and so for me, striking a balance between this, my love for dogs, first of all, just this, complete love for animals and dogs, and my love for our sport, but not pursuing professional handling. I'm not a breeder. So what's my role in this? So, for me, I'm just incredibly fortunate to be here and get to work still on my passion every day, just in a different way. And, hopefully I'll leave it a little bit better than when I found it, or set it up for,
I think you already have.
someday someone else will come in and they'll have lots of great ideas for AKC TV, and they'll do them. And hopefully I've done enough to set them up for that.
I think so. Well, it's been so great to hear about your progression. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to share that advice for anyone getting started in the sport. And hopefully if somebody sees you at a dog show, they can also come up to you and ask for more tips and improvement.
I hope they will. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.